Okay, so this segment of the Gig Geezer is going to seem a little disjointed and maybe a little unorganized. It's about 8:15. It's actually 8:20 now, and I've been here for about 45 minutes. And the reason why now I was supposed to be here at 8 o'clock. It said that I was supposed to be here at 8 o'clock. Show up at 8 o'clock, but I showed up here at about 7:30, knowing that hey, things can get crazy real fast, and that I did not want to be here at the last minute trying to ensure that things happen. So upon first upon first observation, things have changed in 2 years. And without having gone back inside and really get a feel for what is going on, the first thing I can say is that things have changed and that it seems it's even more corporate than it was 2 years ago. Now, when I came through here 2 years ago, as past Gig Geezer segments are documented, I came in under the personal vehicle program, which was where you use your personal vehicle. I used my F-150 for a couple of years, from 2021 to 2023 when I came here, and then in 2020 it was my Pathfinder. And the first from 2020 to 2022 or 2021, no, it's 2022. I was basically an employee of a contractor. It was an actual company, and I dealt with a supervisor, and I had packages in my vehicle, as many as 100 packages, so stuffed into my vehicle, and I did a route. Sometimes the routes were as many as 100 stops. I earned $120 a day the first year. The second and third years subsequently, or even a fourth year if you just go calendar wise, but from 2021 2022, well, actually the numbers went up each year. It was 130 the next year, and then 150, 160 the next 2 years. By 2023, there was the flirtations of using this Sprinter / cargo van. Well, back to the way the structure was at the time. So the personal vehicle program was through, I was like third level on this thing, where again there was a company, I had a supervisor whom I dealt with, who was like my immediate contact, and then I went out and did a route in my personal vehicle. So then by 2022 2023, the very person whom I was a supervisor to me the first 2 years had put himself in a position where he had his own company. So I dealt with him directly. Now, as it turned out in 2023, he decided one day he didn't want to have anything to do with it. He was done. He sold his route. And so he made his money and went back to a family life, a more predictable family life where he had a 9 to 5. At that time, there were some changes. In fact, in this segment of the Gig Geezer, I talk about them wanting me to wear one of their shirts. And there were some reactions saying, well, you had to wear one of your shirts then. It was kind of more like an employee situation. Well, my response at the time was that actually it's for my own good to have one of their shirts, because at least I'd be easily identifiable as a Federal Express person, as opposed to me in this shirt here dropping off parcels or items at people's address, residence, or business. The way people are these days, you may not leave that property because people feel endangered, and I don't need to go in any further about that if you are someone like myself. Now, recently, someone commented under this segment of the Gig Geezer about them doing that project, doing this same project for the dollar amount per day, and then amount per stop. And that's the same. It's the same thing. I'm doing the same thing, but maybe not under the same terms. And I'll just leave it at that for now. So I'm waiting to be called back in. It's probably gonna be another 30 minutes or so before I'm called back in, because by then they'll decide whether I'm gonna sit with somebody for the first day or somebody's gonna give me a quick crash course on how to work the app, the app that actually like puts together the route or the manifest, and then a quick reminder how to work the scanner. So there's an app for the for the actual route, and then there's the actual scanner. I probably need to get up to speed with the codes for when a person's not there, or that there's someone who wasn't there who was 18 or older, or 21 and older when it involved alcohol or business closed. I gotta be reminded of those codes, and then how to work the app in terms of setting up my route the way I want it, as opposed to it telling me how I need to do it. And then I'll be given probably a placard for me being a contracted person for Federal Express. And yeah, there's some things that I got to get up to speed real fast. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be given a route. The guy told me that person who showed up the first day this week was given a very limited route of like 10, 15 stops just to get acclimated. And that may be the case. Just allow me to get up to speed and then take on more items the next day or so. So the question may be, why did I do this? I know that I talked for about 5 minutes or so, but why did I do this? I did this kind of out of default this week. I made a decision this week after talking it with someone about, well, should I do this project? I have gone through this year doing things my way, and it's going to be still my way with the decision I made. But I've gone through this year, basically over 90% of this year, doing things off of off of gig food delivery apps, last mile gig delivery apps, brokerage / low board based opportunities, and cash gain. This is going to be considered a contracted situation. This is going to be considered a contracted situation because of the nature of how I'm doing this. I'm doing this through a broker. And so the way it came about to me was I saw some emails about annual last mile project. Now, what kind of the factors that led to me making the decision were these. Obviously, the market has changed. On the gig apps and on load board base brokered opportunities, there are more people out there, or there's the appearance of more people out there. On one specific load board based opportunity, there appears to be a push to kind of squeeze one truck, 2 truck operations of like myself out of the game, or out of that particular space, delivery and transport space. I noticed in recent opportunities that I've done with the load board based opportunity, I noticed that there have been trucks, multiple trucks appearing with drivers, and it appears that they're trying to put on a power game where they are basically trying to make their presence with these opportunities that they have to try to keep their people rolling. That's the best way to describe it. Someone like myself, I work for myself, but the drivers that I saw, they were actually driving for somebody. Those are not their trucks. They're driving for somebody, and this company is trying to keep their people rolling, and so they're exploiting the load board to keep their people going. It's clearly obvious, and if it's not them, it's certain people are trying to move up themselves, where they've probably acquired more equipment, and so they're trying to keep their people. They're trying to keep their people rolling, trying to keep their people to make money for them, and so they're squeezing out people like myself. And in the process, what they're doing is they're taking opportunities for they are booking opportunities for far less money than I would book those opportunities for. So when you see these opportunities disappearing right before your eyes, much sooner than you would think they should be, especially at this time of the year, it's a very strong message that I need to rethink my strategy in terms of how I'm going to make things happen at the beginning of the year. Another reason for my making the decision that I have is with the local last mile gig delivery apps. These apps, I mean, many of these opportunities are being taken up as soon as they show up. As soon as they appear on your phone screen, they're gone. Sometimes you don't even have a chance to react, to actually look at it. You basically don't have a chance to react, just to even look at the opportunity, because it's gone before, as soon as it appears. It's basically gone in 0.6 of a second, maybe 6 seconds. I mean, 30 seconds is an eternity sometimes when you see some of these opportunities. Then there are the true brokered opportunities. The brokered opportunities are such that, the brokers are putting these things out for ridiculously low numbers. Now, in this segment of the Gig Geezer, the one from Sumter, which is actually yesterday, December 4th, 2025, the one from Sumter to Winston-Salem, I accepted it for about $50 less than what I really would have. But the reason why I accepted it for $50 less than the number that what I would prefer to have done it for, is because I knew I had this in my back pocket, and so I was just looking to contribute to my daily cash flow more so than anything else. Then there are the gig food delivery apps. Well, we can talk about those, but specifically the catering opportunities. There's one particular app that has really messed over people like myself, in which we've been on the app since 2022. We've proven ourselves, but when they reworked the algorithm, when they reworked our metrics, it put people like myself and others, many others, or there's a couple of others in my market in which we got left behind. The numbers are such that it makes us least desirable. Whereas many of the newer folk who got onto the app within the past year, they've been afforded all the opportunities that I used to see. That's what it kind of boils down to. So they flip the script, they flip the tables on people like myself who've been on the app for more than 3 years. So when you factor all that together, and then the constant challenge of strategizing things to make things work, that's why I keep pointing out in many of my segments of the Gig Geezer, this is not a cakewalk for me. This is not something that just gloriously flows onto my lap. The opportunities that I have had happen, you may make the case for luck, but I've had to really strategize for many of the things that I do, and I continue to be very selective with the opportunities that I accept, because you don't get to having earned over $125,000 so far this year by taking anything and everything. That's the thing. But the challenge in doing that is how then do you withstand how do you withstand the uncertainty of finding those opportunities, because they are few and far between. But fortunately for me, there's still been enough of them. Now, the challenge that I face going into 2026, as I've already described why I accepted doing this project, is the fact that, hey, nothing's certain going into 2026. I don't know. I may have more 0 days than what I would like to experience. Then again, things may unfold for me next month or in a few weeks in which I get off to a decent start. As I mentioned again already, for me in 2025, the game changer for me was getting the Geezer 16. That was the game changer. But now I've got to put myself in position for another game changer. I know what that's going to take. It's a matter of me getting there. I want people to understand that this is not a concession or my giving up. This is a case of an opportunity that came my way, in which they actually answered to my number. Now, when it came out, I'm like, I'm not gonna accept those numbers. I'm gonna fuck with them and give them 2 numbers. That's what it amounted to. I gave them 2 numbers, and they took the second number. And then when I saw another opportunity came out, and when I saw a similar opportunity came out yesterday, I've already put in for that, and basically I'm cleared for that one once that one gets up and running at the same numbers. What I found out is that my numbers are the numbers that I'll be doing this are likely to be anywhere between $50 and $150 higher than most people who accepted this opportunity. So when it's all said and done, if I look at this in which I do this Monday through Saturday, I stand to do far better if this project plays out as what they say. Let's say this project plays out at least for 2 weeks. I stand to make more doing this than I would more than likely trying to make that happen, doing things under my current business strategy. So I've talked about wanting to have a contract opportunity, and I've talked about the conditions in which I would do a contract opportunity, and it has to be something as good as or better than what I've been doing. This actually, if it plays out as it can play out, would be better over the course of a week, better than what I've been doing. I mean, if I were to talk the year in review, I stand to earn over. I stand to do pretty well. Okay, I'll just leave it at that. I'm not putting out the numbers in this segment of the Gig Geezer as I may have in the past, but I stand to do better than I most weeks. In fact, if I hit the numbers that I think I could hit, I could have my best week earnings of 2025, and I'll leave it at that. So it was a business decision more so than anything else. It was purely a business decision. Everybody say that they do things to make sure that they got food on the table and the rent paid. Yeah, I mean, that goes into the equation, but I'm looking at this as a business decision. Given how what the market is telling me, I've got to have an answer for it. And this is my best answer at the time. And the way it came to me, it's telling me that, hey, this is probably the direction that you need to go for the moment. Now, what happens after the project, we'll have to, hopefully, I'll have something in place, or I'll have some type of strategy in place in which that will be kind of my guiding path for the moment. Now, the last time I talked about contract, I said how I would love to have a contract situation, but it still has to be the right situation. And then in these segments of the Gig Geezer, I spoke of the pros and cons of contracts. And that's still going to apply with this because it's going to be still based on these people's volume. If there's enough volume, then there's going to be a need for people like myself. If there's not enough volume, they're not going to ask me to come back. That's what I'm facing. But for the sake of conversation, as we're starting out today, Friday, December 5th, 2025, I stand to have probably 2, maybe 3 weeks of opportunity. I stand to have 2-3 weeks of consistent opportunity, 6 days a week. Now, in that time, I stand to do fairly well if all the numbers are hit. At a minimum, I know that my numbers are going to be on par with what I've been doing so far this year, and that's something that you always want to take into consideration with a contract opportunity. Throughout this segment of the Gig Geezer, what you're going to find is that I've kind of spliced together portions that I've already kind of I'm splicing together portions that I've already recorded or documented. What will be left is me going out on route, more than likely in my vehicle. Today it may be in the Geezer van. Another day it may be in the Geezer 16. This project is all based on volume. With there being holiday volume, they're trying to make it easier on the permanent people, and so I'm likely to get a route that is kind of put together as what happened for me 2 years ago. From 2020 to 2023, I got routes that basically the permanent people didn't want, or you may say the excess routes, routes that may be as long as the permanent people, but not as tight. And so it's going to be expected of me to finish my route in the same time as they do. And the only way that can be done is how well I organize things in the van, but also how I organize the route itself based on the technology and resources available to me. Now, I have documented multiple segments of the Gig Geezer since 2021 during the personal vehicle program. This is going to be the first time that it's not involving a personal vehicle program with Federal Express. This is going to be me purely as somewhat of a subcontractor, but under the auspices of a broker, as I've already probably explained. The fact that this was made available through a broker, you know that there's some money involved. They didn't hit them up for some money. Now the question is, how do you get a piece of that pie? And so I think I got on the high end of a daily rate, based on my brief interaction already. I think I'm on the high end. If you ask me how much I think I should get probably another $100 a day with this type of a deal. But this is far better than what I was getting previously under the personal vehicle program. This is almost 3 times as what I got at my highest number in the personal vehicle program. Now, once I'm called inside, I'll have a better idea what I'm going to do. If I go out on route, then I will add to this segment of the Gig Geezer. If I don't go out on route, I'll just end things here. Or at least I'll just come back and sum it up as saying that, hey, I went out on a training run riding with someone. But it is possible that I am likely to have a very limited route, which allow me time to familiarize myself with the apps and the app and the scanner, and also just get myself up to speed with doing another Federal Express route. Am I looking forward to doing multiple stops and getting in and out of my vehicle and all that stuff? As I mentioned in the past, I realized, at least for me 2 years ago, it was a losing proposition. But for me this year, it may not be a losing proposition. The question is, am I up for it because I'm 2 years older? That's what it boils down to. I feel okay today, but will I feel the same way tomorrow? Will I feel the same way the next week? Only time will tell. Now, I will say that based on how I feel, I can say medically I'm doing good, because I've already gone through having a physical within the past week. I've had a whole battery of tests. I had a routine procedure done, and everything is saying that I am medically certified. That's a good thing. I've talked about blood pressure. Blood pressure is good. Hell, even my cholesterol, which I've talked about, I can't outrun my genetics, but my cholesterol came in at its best number ever. I've never had anything better than $180. Typically, my cholesterol has been in the 180s, with the bad cholesterol numbers being the one that's of concern. I come in this time, all my numbers are good, and my cholesterol came in at $148, which is outstanding. Anybody tell you that, medically speaking. Blood pressure, as I mentioned, I'm in the 120s over 60, over the 120s. I'm in the 120s over the 70s, and that's consistent. And in my stage in life, those are real good numbers. Weight wise, I'm at 215. That's been a number that I've carried for the last several years. I'm good. The only difference is that I'm 2 years older, and of course, being 2 years older, we'll see how the body responds. The thing is, the older you get, the question is, how fast do you recover? When you're 25 years old, or I remember when I was 20, a good example was my staying up for a couple of days, riding a bike 15, 20 miles in a day, and then that evening going and bowl an 8-game marathon. I don't think I could do that now. I know I can't do that now. More than likely, a couple of things would be acts in that repertoire, meaning like staying up for 2 days and maybe riding a bike 15, 20 miles in a day. I'd do the 8-game marathon and call it good. So that's, I mean, hey, If you like the content that's been provided in this segment of the Gig Geezer or in any other segment, hit that subscribe button. Give my content a thumbs up. Share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. And one last thing, the Gig Geezer channel, last check, is showing over 16,970 subscribers. I'd like, before the holidays, see the channel reach 17,000 subscribers, but a more intermediate goal of seeing the channel reaching 20,000 subscribers. And the only way it can get there is in which the algorithm begins pushing my channel before more people, as it once did 3 years ago in 2023. I say that 3 years ago in 2023 because we're almost out of 2025, is by you hitting that subscribe button, giving my content a thumbs up, commenting in the section below, and also sharing my content among others. All right, we're talking more than 5.5 hours later since I first arrived at the Federal Express yard, and I'm now out en route. It is a limited route. I've got 9 stops, and I got some parcels to drop off. A lot of the delay was the people still trying to figure out how and what they want to do with us. What I found out is that the need for at least folk at this yard is because there are some existing routes in which the contractor had not performed up to the contract standards. And so apparently those routes have been taken away from them. And so they've reached out to outside sources to find people who could do these routes. And of course, a part of the process is a vetting process in which you go through a background check and all. It also helps then that if you've had prior experience, if you noted that to them. So I think that may have put me ahead of the pack, and also got me the money that I commanded for this contract opportunity. What I've also found out is that the routes may not be as, at least for now, as extensive as what I had imagined, because in addition to a base number, there's a amount that should be paid per stop. Well, what I'm being paid per stop and what I had kind of anticipated on earning at some point, I don't know. I don't know where the numbers are going to fall out for today, and perhaps for tomorrow. The numbers fall in. The numbers come out to about where I thought they would come out. I'm actually slightly ahead today. I may be slightly ahead tomorrow, but then Monday will be kind of a better gauge of things. I think today and tomorrow are going to be days in which I kind of give me a chance to get acclimated to the scanner and to the software, and also kind of knock some of the dust off of my Federal Express experience. As it is, it's been more than 2 years since I last did this stuff. All right, so I am out en route, and my first stop is auspiciously a no-show, meaning that I had to leave one of these "we missed you" tags and scan it in and all that stuff, starting out this route. I tell you, man, so that means I got to go back to the yard and return this, and then it'll be rerouted for delivery again another day, more than likely on Monday. So yeah, I get to start out with a no-show by somebody. It actually required a signature upon receipt, and nobody answered the door. Knocked on the door, rang the doorbell, no answer. I ain't got no time. I ain't got time for that. I got to keep it moving. Especially driving all the way out to Fairfield County, where god-awful Winnsboro. That's all I can say. God-awful Winnsboro. A place where Walmart has come and gone, Mack truck has come and gone. Yeah, man. Bilo and Food Line have come and gone. Yeah, this is a place where businesses come and go, and there's a lot of nefarious activity that goes on in this town, but that's another conversation. But yeah, man, it's like that. I start out auspiciously with having to leave one of these "we missed you" stickers. All right, so the first stop that I completed was person was a no-show. The second stop, it wasn't any fun. It wasn't any better either. I'm leaving the I guess you say the geographical approximate of the actual delivery address, which is actually to my right and down a hill. But what had happened was I went up a hill, down a hill to a place that wasn't the address. I go up, I go back out to the street, come back and all, and then come back in, and then go about to walk over to the property. I see these dogs coming out, these bulldogs or whatever they were, Rottweilers / bulldogs. They get the barking and coming my way, and I take off back to the van. I had a bad experience in Winnsboro County back in September 2019, in which it cost the customer $40,000, of which I got $25,000 after the attorney fees, because the dog had chased me, and I ended up going down on their property and partially tearing my rotator cuff. So that's another story. But I don't play around with dogs. I mean, I'm cool with dogs, but when I see them coming out and I can sense that they're not the nice dogs, I'm heading back. But anyway, this is a situation where there's no signs telling me the address. I'm on the road, but can't tell. And then when I go over there and the dogs start to get, the guy asks, "Hey, what's up?" And I'm like, "Hey, I'm delivering stuff for Federal Express, and I'm looking for this address." "Oh, it's right here." I'm like, "Well, thank you." That's all I can say was thank you. Quite frankly, this is not starting out too well. I am getting the stops that nobody want. I am getting the stops from hell. I mean, I've been in Winnsboro now for almost an hour, 35 minutes, and I've dropped off 2 stops. Well, the next one should be easier. It's an actual business. Hopefully that will come out. That one will be better than what I've experienced so far. But I mean, I just want to get out of here. I want to get out of Winnsboro as fast as possible and before dark to add to this equation. Okay, so we're done with today's route. It turned out officially, according to the program, there was 11 stops, but there was really 9, maybe 10. But anyway, the fact of the matter, it's done. It took me about a little over 2.5 hours to complete. Some of it is because of the travel time to Winnsboro, to Fairfield County. And the other reason is that, hey, Winnsboro's not a place that I hang out at. And quite honestly, I don't have a lot of good memories about them. I don't have a lot of good memories about Winnsboro or Fairfield County. As I mentioned earlier throughout the segment, in my diatribe, that, hey, it's a godforsaken place. But it's a place where I made money today. Now, part of the problem early on, I mentioned about the first stop where try to get a signature for the delivery, and the person wasn't there, so I went back and was able to. I went back. It just so happened as I went through the route, I realized that I was fairly close to that location, so I went back there and was able to deliver that parcel. So all parcels are gone from the van, and I guess we'll live to do it another day. Again, the only thing that I'm thinking about that's going to kind of make this not as attractive as it seemingly was are the number of stops. I don't think I'm going to have as many stops as what was advertised, and so because of that, this may be a wash more than anything else. It may be a wash in comparison to the money that I've earned throughout 2025. If I do get more stops next week, then it would be inching towards a win. The other observation that I made early on today, before I went inside, was that this may give me a chance to reset, but if anything, it's made me appreciate the flexibility that I've had throughout the year. I mean, contract allows for some stability or some certainty, but even then there's no guarantee, because in many situations you're an overflow person. You're not the first priority. You're further down the priority list. And so what they try to do is keep you busy, but it doesn't mean that you're going to get plumb primary opportunities. You're going to get all the secondary stuff, the stuff that people don't want. And that goes with the territory. So I'm not surprised. At the same time, I was thinking that I'd make probably another $150 to $160 more, and I still may hit those numbers. But at this time, if I can make $100 more than the base, then it's definitely a more appreciable experience. And I'll leave it at that. I know that I'm not talking specifics, because the reason why I'm not talking specifics of this is that there are people who have an idea of what I'm making, or what a couple other drivers who are here through the broker are making. And it's more than what the permanent people are making. And when people have that type of knowledge, guess what? They're going to get back at you in a way that says how they don't appreciate my being here. Maybe the higher ups appreciate me being there, but the actual drivers and the actual everyday folk, they're not going to appreciate my being there. They're going to be glad when I'm gone. They're going to be glad when this project is over. So that's a reality that I got to face. So with that, this may not be for a lot of entertainment value, but hey, if you got something out of it, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. And again, the Gig Geezer channel is slowly inching its way to that 17,000 subscriber number, but the more intermediate goal is to reach 20,000 subscribers, and it can't be done unless you make it possible. And the other reason why I say that they can't be done unless you make it possible is because it can't be done without you, in order to force the algorithm to push my channel out to more people. So with that, this is yet another segment of the Gig Geezer. I'm Inwood Lane. May your hustle, may your grind, and may your business continue.